WWF No Mercy is probably the most impactful wrestling game ever made. Following on from the hugely successful WrestleMania 2000, this sequel of sorts once again matches up a load of birds and blokes in various shades of different coloured pants and pits them all against each other in a bid to see who is the ultimate grappler. Developers Aki have gone all out to make No Mercy even bigger than its predecessor ever was, by introducing more wrestlers, match types and a fully enhanced story mode, which makes EastEnders look tame in comparison. With WWF's Attitude Era still in full swing, there's a whole host of painstakingly recreated events, arenas and situations completely at your disposal, and if you're very lucky you can unlock some hidden blokes or birds to do battle with. That's right ladies, now you too can prove that you're just as hard as the lads and take a diva all the way to the top of the Federation. All the wrestlers here have been fully recreated with everything from their moveset to their mannerisms to ensure that matches will be as realistic as you can get. So now smaller blokes will struggle when picking up and slamming their larger opponents, Eddie Guerrero will pretty much reverse any kind of hold you place on him, and big man Rikishi will place his large posterior in your face. Top work, big bloke. The in-ring action is intense and once again uses the spirit meter, which indicates to the player how much momentum they have. The more damage you can inflict on your opponent, the redder it becomes. If you can build it up to the maximum, then you too can unleash his or her signature finishing move with the tap of a button. Story mode is where the matches are a lot more back and forth now, with all sorts of added stipulations and challenges as you try and take your chosen superstar to compete for a particular title. One of No Mercy's highlights is the new ladder match option, with up to 4 blokes all competing for a title or object hanging menacingly above the ring. It makes for some fast, tense action, as the AI will make life very difficult for you, which is this game's appeal in many ways. That's right, you really have to work hard for your rewards here, as the odds are stacked against you at every turn. Now, each belt you try to win comes with its own built-in set of storylines that change frequently depending on if you win, lose, draw, fail to beat the clock, make somebody bleed, or achieve a particular stipulation. Now these are not just linear paths either, as Aki have ensured that certain conditions you meet or don't meet will mean that you may jump to the beginning, middle or end of another storyline. It's all been meticulously worked out, so just like your average episode of Neighbours, you can form alliances, betray other superstars, find romance, fight backstage and engage in acts of savage violence. Lovely. You can even take part in actual storylines that occurred in the WWF at the time. Remember when roided up He-Man bloke Triple H lost the title on Raw and demanded that it be stricken from the records? Or when Mick Foley got his dream to compete in one more WrestleMania? Well, both and more are in the game. Still, I couldn't help feel a sense of injustice as to why the late great big boss man Ray Traylor never became WWF champion, so I took him straight to the belt. One of my favourite memories also from the Attitude Era was when Val Venus got a second push and became Intercontinental Champion again. So I decided to resurrect his fledgling womanising career in No Mercy, revive the Big Valboski in all of his glory and take him to the top. The more intense the match type in the story, the more cash you can earn, and you can then blow it all at the SmackDown Mall. That's right, now you can earn cash in the main story mode and buy tons of unlockable extras such as new moves, a giant wedge of cheese, a giant can of lager and Kim Basinger. It's a fantastic incentive to go back in and play the same path but alter the story, as more often than not you will unlock some hidden characters such as the beloved Andre the Giant, Pat Patterson, Earl Hebner and even one of the Godfather's hoes. Now, part of No Mercy's appeal is the fact that with previous WWF games that were developed by Acclaim, the roster would quickly become outdated as many superstars would come and go, and there really was no way to alter this in the game. Those clever blokes and birds at Aki have ensured that you can edit every superstar in the game, as you can change their names, appearances, moveset, alliances, and this means that dedicated followers of the product can now alter the roster to be as close as possible to the current product. If that's not enough to wet your whistle, then how about the Create a Wrestler mode, which features many ways to build a wrestler. There's everything from what they wear, how they move and taunt, and with the massively detailed move list available to the player, you can create Joe Bloke and take him to the top of the federation in no time. Or why not spend some time and create your own custom made pay-per-view event, invite your mates over, rewrite history, and see who truly is the king of the ring. Yes, that's right, once again you can fall out with your pals all over again in a multiplayer contest of which up to 4 can compete with the added match types to keep you all busy. However, if all this is a wee bit overwhelming than an episode of Last of the Summer Wine, then why not dip your foot in the proverbial pool and partake in one of the exhibition matches or tournaments such as the Royal Rumble or King of the Ring events, which you can alter to your liking. Again, these are not just your bog standard included matches, and despite me being a gaming god, I still got my omnipotent ass kicked and had some intense fights with the company's elite. I will say that the controls are very easy and intuitive to use, that anybody can pick up and play the game in a matter of minutes, and so pulling off moves is done pretty much by holding down the grapple button. How long you hold it will dictate whether it's a strong or weak grapple, and by pressing B in one of the D-pad directions you can now pull off a move or a variety of strong or weak chops, kicks, and even a kick in the knackers. Ow, now that's gonna hurt in the morning. The sheer brilliance of this approach means that you won't have to constantly pause the game to look up a move list as in Acclaim's Warzone or Attitude, and this keeps the game flowing a lot faster. No Mercy's graphics are a significant step up from what Aki did with WrestleMania 2000. Although some superstars may not always look exactly like their real life counterpart, this I think is intentional, as the gameplay is where the main focus has gone. The arenas and backstage areas are a welcome addition, and honestly I've played a ton of wrestling games in my time, and this is the only one where I actually feel like I'm competing in a proper WWF Attitude Event era storyline. Maybe I watched too much of the product back in the day, but whenever a character cuts a promo, and despite there being no in-game speech, just text, I can still hear them clear as day in my head as if it would have been back in the day. It's that sense of realism that I just can't seem to get in any other WWE game. I can't praise this game enough. In my eyes, it's pretty much the ultimate wrestling game for the N64. Whilst WCW, NWO World Tour and Revenge are in themselves some of the best wrestling action you will ever get anywhere, No Mercy is the gift that keeps on giving, as the further you get, the more stuff you unlock and the more possibilities you can select from. Imagination, life is your creation. Like a drunk bloke who's just wandered into an AA meeting, I'm struggling to find anything wrong with No Mercy at all. I mean, the game does slow down when there are 4 players on screen at once, but honestly, I was having so much fun that this simply didn't matter. If I really had to split hairs, I suppose Aki could have used the N64's expansion pack's 4 extra megabytes of memory to speed things up and maybe improve the textures, but honestly that's all I could think of. WWE No Mercy will keep you engrossed for hours as you work to unlock all the hidden stuff and play the storylines multiple times to experience all the paths. So if you fancy your chances at being a hard bloke or bird, then cancel that interview with your job centre advisor, tell them that the WWF needs you, and if they still insist you come in to do some unpaid manual labour or they will stop your benefits, tell them Jimmy Hill. Thank you so much for checking out my review, and join me next time for some more gaming pap, where I talk about myself in the third person like The Rock and try to pretend I'm cool.